Hello and welcome to Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. 2 hours of open forum, kind of a bonus Wednesday open forum. 2 hours with our good friend Joe Heschmeyer, the author of what is now turning out to be quite a popular book, The Early Church Was the Catholic Church. The number is 888-318-7884. I'm not going to give that out too much. So if you're planning to call with a question, jot it down or commit it to memory, 888-318-7884. And let me tell you how open forum works. If you're new to us, open forum is open to anyone. The show's called Catholic Answers, but you don't have to be Catholic to call. You don't have to be Christian to call. You don't have to even be religious at all to call. Matter of fact, you can be anti-religious, and we would love to talk with you. We just like having conversations about these things, and we like answering questions, and you are welcome. Also, open forum means open to just about anything. You want to talk about Jesus? You want to talk about the Bible? You want to talk about the sacraments? You want to talk about church history? 888-318-7884. And here's why I'm not going to be giving that number out too much. We are in the second day of our 3-day pledge drive, and we're not going to take the whole show to ask you to pledge and support us, but we are going to take some of the show to do that. And then we'll go to calls, and then we'll come back and ask you again and give the phone number out again. So let me give you that phone number and tell you what the situation is this hour, and then we will get to Joe answering some questions. To call and pledge your support to Catholic Answers right now, 888-291-8000. I hope you will take me up on that invitation right now, because in these early minutes of the show is usually the best time. I can see we've got 8 lines open, about to have more than 8 lines open. 888-291-8000. If you're listening around the world, it's not convenient for you to call. Maybe you don't have a phone anymore. You're just an internet person. I don't know. CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You can go safe and secure there. CatholicAnswersRadio.com. One more thing to tell you, and then I'll let Joe get in here. This hour, we have another $20,000 dollar for dollar match. So we're trying to raise $20,000 this hour to get us to help get us to our overall goal of $225,000, which will fully fund our operations for the next 3 months. $20,000 dollar for dollar match, and lots of phone lines open. Perfect time for you to call. 888-291-8000. Joe Heschmeyer, author of The Early Church Was the Catholic Church. Thanks for being here with us.
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm excited to be here during this kind of pledge drive. I really, as a person who occasionally gives money to things, I respond well to matching funds, because I often feel like, oh, this isn't worth that much, or, I don't have that much to give. But doubling it is like, hey, that feels pretty good. And so if you're someone listening now and you feel like you have a small gift, well, we've got a way to make it less small. And I want to really stress, as far as I understand, these are real matching funds. Sometimes places will say they're matching $20,000, and what they really mean is someone gave them $20,000 and asked them to.
That's not how it works here.
Nope, it really is dollar for dollar. So if we raise $17,000, they're going to give us $17,000. If we raise $20,000, they're going to give us $20,000. And that's a big deal.
And we are in need of that. 888-291-8000 is the number, or as I said, safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. If you're one of those people who prefers texting, just give us a text. Text the word Catholic, CATHOLIC, the word Catholic, to 24365. Just think of 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Full disclosure, I saw the number 24365 and thought, how are people going to remember that? It turns out 24365.
It's pretty easy to remember. Text the word Catholic to 24365. Right now, 12 of our colleagues, by the way, when you call us, you're also not getting a phone service or something like that. You're getting our colleagues. Or today, we have one volunteer, a young woman who was also volunteered at our conference, came out. But so you got one volunteer and a bunch of staff members. That's who you'll be talking to. They can get you done in 90 seconds. Or if you want to just chat with somebody here at Catholic Answers, you can chat. Tell them we love when people share stories. We were just in our big staff meeting this morning, and people sharing some of the things that they have heard that people said and that were shared, and it's just wonderful for us. So again, I'm going to give that number out a couple more times, and we're going to let Joe answer some questions. Do you feel ready to answer questions?
I think so. I'm looking forward to that too.
All right. 888-291-8000, $20,000 dollar for dollar match. If you didn't listen yesterday, I'll just be real honest with you. It wasn't a crisis day yesterday, but it was a tough first day of a pledge drive. One that raises, you get up this morning and you go, man, we got to really hit it today. So that's kind of where we are. If you're thinking, my $5 donation, my $10 donation, maybe you could do $10 a week. $10 a week, $10 a month. If you want to do $10 a week, that's fine too. But if you do $10 a month as a pledge, and maybe you're thinking like Joe thinks about his pledge, which I'm susceptible to that as well. I don't have that much money. I can give him a little something. It's not going to make much of a difference. It makes a big difference. Those all add up, especially when they're doubled. So please, there's plenty of lines open, and you can call with your pledge of any amount. We are very much in need right now. About to go to the phones. Here's that phone number again, 888-291-8000, or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
If I can add one thing that I think really helps with giving, and again, your mileage may vary. I think a big one-time hit hurts more than doing small monthly donations. Like if you have it built into your budget that, this $10 or $50 or $100 or whatever that is, that's going to go to Catholic Answers. You can kind of build around that and plan around that. And I would just say be generous with it. St. Paul, famously in 2 Corinthians, talks about how those who sow sparingly reap sparingly, 2 Corinthians 9. And he talks about how God loves a cheerful giver. So you should give not reluctantly or under compulsion. So whatever you feel like you can give in that spirit, I don't want you to give in a way that you're going to be embittered. I don't want you to give more than you are spiritually ready to give. But I want you to give in a way that you can say, yeah, this is what I want to do for God. This is what I want to do for maybe the non-Catholics around me because I believe in the work Catholic Answers does. Those are the gifts I think we really want. 888-291-8000.
Off to the phones we go. Blake in Nebraska watching on YouTube. Go ahead with your question for Joe. Blake?
Hi. So I am a non-Catholic, and I was wondering what is the differing view of Catholics of Jesus' death on the cross and resurrection compared to the Calvinistic view?
Oh, that's a great question. So I want to do my best to do justice to the Calvinistic view, which is sometimes called penal substitution, that Christ bears our penalty for sin. That's going to get something half right, that there is a substitutionary nature to Christ's death on the cross. As the Catechism says, Jesus substitutes his obedience for our disobedience. But it's not true that it's penal substitution in terms of the penalty. Well, think about it this way. The penalty due to sin is eternal separation from God. And it would be ludicrous to say the second person of the Trinity, who is God, is eternally cut off from God. To say God is in hell for all eternity makes no sense. It's theologically incoherent. It doesn't. That's not a sound Trinitarian theology. It's not a sound Christology. It's logically contradictory. And it's also cruel. The idea that God is going to damn an innocent person to hell for all eternity so that he can let people who should be damned into heaven, it solves one terrible injustice with another terrible injustice. That doesn't work. The Catholic view, in contrast, looks at the cross in a fourfold way. And you can find this in the Catechism in paragraph 616 and the immediately preceding and immediately following paragraphs. It looks at his sacrifice in terms of its value as redemption, as reparation, as atonement, and as satisfaction. And the basic idea is this, that the damage done by our sin is outweighed not by God's wrath being poured out upon the Son, but upon the Son's free love for the Father, that as man and as God, he perfectly loves, and that this is more tremendously valuable to the Father than the sum total of every sin committed in human history. So what's substituted there is not he's going to be the whipping boy that the Father unleashes his fury upon, but that Christ's obedience is more pleasing to the Father. So that's the sense in which he stands in our stead, that he's able to pay a penalty we can't pay. But think more in the terms of, imagine if someone owed you money and they just couldn't pay the debt. And someone else comes along and says, I'll give you not only that, I'll give you more than that freely and lovingly. And you would say, of course, I will let this debt go. But it's even more than that. It's bigger than that. And so the last thing I'd say to that is one of the problems with substitutionary atonement or penal substitution, excuse me, is that Christ gives more than we owe. Meaning, he's fully God and fully man. He's able to act in this infinite way that's much bigger than our debt. That he actually offers to the Father something bigger. So in that, all of those ways and a lot of other ones, as I've kind of hinted at the fact that there's a fourfold dimension to the cross, I've only really talked about one dimension of that. There's much more that could be said, but this is a rich and beautiful subject. So I hope that helps to answer your question somewhat.
Blake, thanks very much for getting us started. And this is one of the great joys of this job is that, as I said at the beginning, we want to talk with anybody. And Blake calls up and he says he's not a Catholic and he just wants to know the difference. A lot of times that just explaining, the Catholic position and giving our point of view, that's all that folks want. Sometimes people want to argue. Sometimes that argument is a good argument to have. It's helpful to the listener and it's helpful to, the kids in the back of the car who need to know, there are reasons to believe in God. But we really believe in the power of conversation. I mean, conversation is a very powerful Christian virtue. Jesus does the bulk of his ministry just in conversation with people. I mean, he really believed in it. And so we want to have these conversations. We want to share these conversations, all because more than anything, we want to share the person of Jesus Christ to a world that is hurting. I mean, just really, really hurting. And, you see the news and people are devastated and often devastated. I'll just say it this way, needlessly, because what devastated them was, they went to college and some professor convinced them that there's no God or that Jesus is not God or that the Gospels are not reliable. All of that is not true. And it can all be overcome in many cases when the person has an open-minded heart with just an explanation. You don't have to just let people live in the pain of separation from God, from Jesus, from the Gospels. We can do something about it, and that's what we do here. And so we are coming to you to ask you for your help. Let me just explain where we are. 17 of our colleagues have their phone lines open and are ready to take your call. 17 of our colleagues. That's, Imelda and Carrie, and that's probably Carlo is out there somewhere doing the Chris and John and the other John and the other Carrie. So, these are our friends, our colleagues who we go to Mass with in the morning, who we go to our Wednesday meeting with, and they've taken their time out to talk with you. If you want to share your story with them, you want to tell them about, you want to make suggestions about how we can do better, all that's welcome. If you just want to make your pledge and get off in 90 seconds, you can. But please call them. And whether it's $5 or $5,000, 888-291-8000. Right now, we have a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match on 888-291-8000.
So I think a couple things. First, to kind of re-echo what you were saying, when people call in, if you have a story about Catholic Answers and how it's touched your life, and it's something that it's something you'd be comfortable sharing, just with your first name and maybe city on the air, we'd love to share so people can really see the impact. I think we hear these things anecdotally and in person. I don't usually have permission to just go and share someone else's story on the air, but if you've got your own story and you say, I became Catholic, or I was about to walk away from my faith and then I just heard the answer I needed, or whatever your story is, whatever that is, we would love to hear that in-house, and we'd love to share it on the air if appropriate. So please, give us a call, share those things, 888-291-8000, and thank you in advance to those of you who've been so generous. I know there are a lot of other demands. I know these are, as they tell us, uncertain times, but I've been very impressed by people stepping up and giving, even in the face of all that. 888-291-8000. 18 of our colleagues on, and 15 of them available because there are 3 calls on the line right now. It's a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match. Struggled a bit yesterday, hoping to make up some ground today. On our way to being fully funded. That will require $225,000. As I said several times yesterday, I don't know if you were listening because I think you might have been on the phones yesterday. I was listening and then would get off to take a phone call, so I had the very choppy experience.
Did you hear the part about Super Bowl ads?
Yeah, it was 2 seconds.
2 seconds. We fund everything we do here in this studio and then in quite a bit beyond this studio for what it costs for 2 seconds of Super Bowl ad.
The best part of the show yesterday was the surprise guest, Timothy Staples.
Tim Staples. That was really nice to hear from Tim, yeah. All right, let me tell you what. I'm going to go back to the phone lines and let Joe, those phone lines, the studio phone lines, and let Joe answer some more calls. But I do want to encourage some folks, maybe you'd like to join our Society 315. Before I do that, we have various different giving societies. We have various different levels people can come in at. And the Society 315 is something we are very excited about. Just started less than a year ago. As a matter of fact, just about this time last year, we started it. And the way it works is you have to give online. You got to go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and you make a $10 pledge, $20 pledge, $100 pledge per month, whatever. As long as it's $10 or more, you are a member of Society 315 if you make that pledge online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. And then you get a little welcome box. And in the box is a T-shirt, Catholic Answers Society 315 T-shirt, and there's a car magnet, and there's coupons for our store. But then also, what we really want to do with Society 315 is build up a relationship with a large number of committed Catholics around the world, and it's working. I mean, thousands of people have taken us up on this offer, and we want to give you free stuff every month. It's not going to be a thing where we're soliciting constantly from you. As a matter of fact, never. I don't think we're ever going to solicit. I can't say that for sure, but I think the commitment is never to solicit, just to say, you're a member of Society 315. Here's a great talk that Joe Heschmeyer gave this week at a church in San Diego. We want you to have it. You're a member of Society 315. You're coming on retreat with us. We bring cameras. We did this last year.
Yeah, but they're allowed to say no to that. You're coming on retreat with us.
Well, we're not going to drag you.
A little
to
more like
retreat.
kidnapping.
Well, although you probably need it. But we share these wonderful retreat masters who come and give our staff a retreat, and that's what we would. So I want to invite some folks right now to pick up the phone and become a member of Society 315. Whether you give $10 a month, $15 a month, $20 a month, $100 a month, it's all doubled for the whole year right now, and you become a member of Society 315 if you go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Either way you go, whether you call the number 888-291-8000 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, it's all going to be matched this hour. I said I would go back to the phones as soon as I was done saying that, and I'm going to do it. 888-291-8000 is that number. I hate to say this, but almost all of our phone lines are waiting right now. They're open. They're ready for your calls. 888-291-8000. Joe, let's see who we got next.
Let's do line number 2.
Let's do line number 2. Adam in Ohio. You're the only apologist who bosses me around about what line to go to. No, the others do. They just don't do it out loud. They just go.
I just hold up fingers for you.
Yeah, they do.
I've got one for you.
Okay. Adam, that's not even responsible. It's a thumbs up. Really? Oh, okay. Adam in Ohio, listening on 910 AM Sacred Heart Radio. We're glad you're here, Adam. Thank you for the call. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Hi, good evening. Hopefully it's not too soggy your way.
Oh, I don't even want to tell you what the weather's like here.
I was like, it's like 5 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. It's only 61 today. And then my parents texted me that there's a snowstorm in Kansas City, and I thought, I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, it's freakishly beautiful in Southern California right now, but it often is at this time of year. Adam, what's it like in Ohio? Are you under a blizzard conditions or what?
Well, it is more of a San Francisco fog right now with the rain.
Oh, okay. Well, look forward to the crime wave then. Oh no, that doesn't come with the San Francisco fog.
Wow.
That's a different thing, Adam. Sorry.
I think we're actually losing donors. People are asking for their money back.
We don't even want donors. No, yes, we do. Adam, go ahead with your question for Joe.
Well, my question for both of you is, what is your favorite church father since he wrote the book about the early church?
Yeah. Joe, favorite church father.
That's a great question. So in the book, I look at the first 2 centuries, and I would say probably Saint Irenaeus of Lyon, maybe Saint Ignatius of Antioch. It's almost a dead heat. If you're looking beyond that period, I have a real soft spot in my heart for Saint Optatus of Milevis, who he's in the 300s. He writes against the Donatists, and he is just so clear about the need to be in union with the Bishop of Rome, the successor of St. Peter, and he talks about how the cathedra, like the seat of authority in Rome, is unique so that even the other apostles couldn't set one up. And it's so like almost obnoxiously Catholic and so early on. And St. Augustine has a thing where he talks about what a gift Optatus is to the world when he converted. And so you just look at all that and you're just like, oh, okay. A lot of the church fathers, they kind of assume you understand what the papacy is all about, and so they don't go into any great depth, and so that enables Protestants reading it to say, maybe he's Catholic, maybe he's papal, maybe he's who knows. Optatus is so on the nose that I just really enjoy him. And he does all this with this amazingly gentle spirit in which he even encourages the Donatists by saying, you don't consider us brothers, we consider you brothers. And until you consider us brothers, maybe stop saying the Our Father and just say the My Father, which is a great, slightly sarcastic way of encouraging someone to brotherly love.
So I'm going to do mine now.
Please.
It's easy for me, Polycarp of Smyrna. And, okay, for two reasons, one trivial and one non-trivial. I was blown away when I learned that there's a man who was a direct disciple of the Apostle John who wrote letters and quite credible letters, and who was, whose preaching is referred to in other people's letters, that kind of thing. I think most of the world does not know there are direct written connections to the apostles, especially the Apostle John, outside of the Bible. So I was very excited about that. The other thing is Polycarp of Smyrna is such an awesome name, and I can imagine that the Apostle John just referred to him as Polly. We always shorten each other's names, and it just makes me feel so good that the Apostle John was like, Polly, let's go to lunch. And he and Polycarp went to lunch.
Yeah, it always makes me think of having a lot of carp. But
like many fish
carp.
is what it was.
Exactly.
That's how my Greek translation goes.
I'm not a great Greek speaker. But yeah, no, he was born in the year 69. He died at the age of 86, a martyr at 150 in the year 155. He says, I followed Christ for 86 years. I'm not going to deny him now.
Yeah.
And so he's martyred. And the account of his martyrdom, which is incredible, is written within 12 months of his death, because it's written in honor of his 1 year anniversary of being martyred. So it's in terms of like ancient documents, a lot of historical events we know about are written, decades or even centuries afterwards. Here we've got a Christian martyrdom account within a calendar year. And it's incredible. Plus, I mentioned really like Irenaeus, Polycarp of Smyrna was his mentor.
Thanks, Adam. That was really fun. And I don't know for sure about my theory that people called him Polly, and that means that the Apostle John said things like, Polly, let's go to lunch.
There is also a
Polycrates
Polycrates of Corinth, or of Ephesus. So there were different Poly names. So who knows?
Oh, we got to take a minute here to ask you for your financial support. Thanks to everybody who has called. 5 callers are on the line right now. 19 of our colleagues are ready to take. Well, just went down to 18. I don't know why. Somebody had to go do something. But they do have to do other work, But the 18 lines open. So not 18 lines open. 18 of our colleagues on the line. 4 calls on right now. That leaves I'm going to go with 14 lines open, and we really need you to fill them up. We had a tough day yesterday. Carlo was just wonderful and patient with us, but I don't know if he's ever going to do it with us again, because it was, I'm sure he will. He's a generous sort, but it was hard because, we were really... we got to beg for our supper around here. We cannot do this if people don't pick up the phone and call. It's not like, we'll muddle through. This is how we fund this. And we don't fund it with $1 million gifts.
If you'd like to donate $1 million, we'll accept it.
We'll start funding it with $1 million gifts, I can tell you that. But you know how many $1 million gifts we've gotten in the 30, 40 years of this apostolate?
I'm going to guess honor about 0.
Honor about 0. As a matter of fact, exactly 0. So we just need folks to pick up the phone and call. Would you do that now? There's a $20,000 dollar for dollar match. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000.
And thank you to those who already have given. I know Doris, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Doris, pledged $50 and wanted to let us know what a great job we do. And Rob in San Antonio said thank you for all the work we do and donated $1,500. Both of those gifts mean a lot and are
and they're doubled.
Yes, and they're doubled.
Yeah.
So thank you to both of you and to everyone else.
Hey, let me give you one more giving level, and I'll go back to letting Joe answer questions. How about you come in at the $20 a month level? If you do that online, first of all, then you're automatically enrolled in our Society 315, Catholic Answers Society 315, which I mentioned earlier. You just go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. You pledge $20 a month. You're a member of Society 315. Your pledge is automatically doubled for the entire year, and all that money goes right into our coffers. But we're also going to send you, because you are, whether you call or go online, anyone who makes a $20 a month new pledge or more gets the Essential Catholic Survival Guide, 500 pages of answers to tough questions about the faith. You're going to love to have this one around. If you got kids or grandkids who come around and, maybe they just sit and open it and read one or two of these and they start to participate in a kind of life of the mind and a life of the spirit that's good for them. Let me just put it that way. 888-291-8000 is the number, or safe and secure online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. All pledges matched up to $20,000 this hour. That's pretty good. And we really do need your help, though. We are quite far behind, and maybe in a little while I'll give an idea of just how far behind we are. But we're going to go back to calls. I said I would go back to calls. Again, the number, 888-291-8000. And we're not going back to calls for a minute. We'll take a quick break, because that's the music. I don't get any choice about the music. If I hear the music, I got to go to a break. I'm like, it's
Pavlovian. Yeah.
It is Pavlovian. That's exactly right. They've trained me, and now I'm drooling, Joe. Why did you say Pavlovian? I started to drool. 888-291-8000. We've got a long way to go. With your help, we're going to get there. 888-291-8000. Dollar for dollar match. It's up to $20,000.
Will you do us a favor right now? Clear your mind of all other thoughts and reflect for just a moment on how Catholic Answers Live has made a difference in your life. Has our broadcast made your afternoon commute more meaningful? Perhaps you've learned how to explain the faith to family or friends in a more vibrant, convincing way. Something you heard here may have been just the thing you needed to look into joining or returning to the Catholic faith. All of these are serious reasons to be thankful, first and foremost to God, but also to all who have financially made it possible for us to air the show each day. Believe me, our gratitude could not be deeper. And we're coming to you today during our quarterly membership drive, asking you to join the ranks of the great people whose gifts and sacrifices have helped to turn around countless lives over the years, and, very possibly, helped make an eternal difference for many of them. Think about that for a moment. That's what your prayers and donations to Catholic Answers Live are doing. What a tremendous opportunity is being presented to you right now. Please don't let it pass you by. Call 888-291-8000 or visit CatholicAnswersRadio.com and let one of our fast, friendly customer service team members take your pledge. Large or small, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you call right now. Again, it's 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. We're offering some great appreciation gifts that are sure to deepen your faith life even more. But what's best is you'll have the confidence that when you turn your radio on tomorrow, or next week, or 12 days from now, we'll be here, boldly and charitably presenting the truth to a world that's searching for precisely that. Your pledge is vital to keeping Catholic Answers Live on the air. Will you make the call today to 888-291-8000 or donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com? Thank you so much in advance. God bless you.
Welcome back. Catholic Answers Live, open forum. Joe Heschmeyer, our guest. You are welcome. And you're also, in addition to Joe Heschmeyer, you're getting my theories about the abbreviated names of ancient saints and apostles.
I don't know why people aren't donating at a higher rate.
Like, how are you not picking up the phone right now and giving thousands of dollars for that quality radio? 888-291-8000. Here's the deal. We got a $20,000 dollar for dollar match this hour. We are well behind in our overall goal, which is to raise $225,000, or, as I like to say, the equivalent of 2 seconds of advertising during the Super Bowl. That will fund us. I mean, I really do feel like I need to say this because I know for a fact in my heart with a moral certainty you get good value when you give to Catholic Answers, because we make it go a long way. We do a lot of stuff with that money. So for $225,000, we're doing TV, we're doing radio, we're doing all the kinds of podcasts. We're doing all these new things like TikTok. I don't even know what we're doing on TikTok, but I know we're doing it, and I know thousands of people are following it, and I know I'm on it sometimes, but I don't know how I got there. But just because it's a mystery to me doesn't mean it's a mystery to you. We do need your help, though. $20,000 dollar for dollar match this hour. You can go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or pick up the phone and call. We've got 13 lines open right now. 888-291-8000. We really do need your help. You want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, I don't know. Guest is a very strange word, as I've said before.
Yeah, I know.
to the
when
guy
the boss comes
who
in.
leaves the lights on here. So I'd like to introduce Chris Check.
Wait, can I make it very clear? I don't leave the lights
yeah,
on.
good point.
We shut the lights off at the end of every work day.
We're good
The lights
stewards
are
of your
shut
money.
I think
off.
what you meant is sign the paycheck.
Yes.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
Well, I don't want to use any check puns with him because I feel like he's gotten those before.
Yeah, we will take very large checks.
Chris Check, President of Catholic Answers. Thanks for coming.
888-291-8000, CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or text Catholic to 24365. 3 ways to give. Si, you mentioned that the money we raise here goes to all of the many things that Catholic Answers does. Our press, our magazine, which we now give away to anyone who supports us at any level at all. So today, my friends, if you support Catholic Answers Live, say with just a gift of $10 a month, or just a gift of $10, you're going to get a year of the magazine for free. We'll send it to you. And the magazine went through a, what do we call?
A revamp.
total
It's a-
refit
yeah.
in
Yeah.
January. It's fantastic. And it includes a lot of fun news about the apostolate in there. So 888-291-8000. You get the magazine for free, no matter how much you give. Si, you and I got an email over the
Yeah.
weekend
A fantastic email
from Norway.
Yeah.
From Norway. And
Yeah.
I'm going to butcher this poor man's name. I think it's like Pear. right?
I thought it was pear too, but I feel
something like-
bad. I mean, I can't pronounce.
Okay, well, we're going to wait till a Norwegian calls and
Norwegian,
corrects
I
us,
mean,
but
yes.
until then, we're going to call him Pear. In any case, my friends, this man wrote us a lengthy letter explaining how he was inspired to start a Catholic radio station in Norway. He calls St. Rita Radio. And I love the way he wrote it. He said, we really didn't know what we were doing, but we prayed to St. Rita, and she just delivered for us.
I know, and now
Wow.
it's like now we've got 7 priests and 20 lay people working on this project, and it's wonderful.
And Catholic Answers Live was the inspiration for him to start this Catholic radio station in Norway. So, my friends, when you support Catholic Answers Live and you support the work of Catholic Answers, it isn't simply here in the lower 48, right, that we're spreading the gospel, but it's really all over the world. And in fact, when David was hosting the show on Monday and Trent was on, I think there was a call from Uganda, right? We got a call from Uganda. So we really are worldwide, my friends. And you, by your support at 888-291-8000, are helping us spread the gospel all over the world, to all the corners of the world, just like Pope Francis asked us to.
I just read the Norwegian guy's name again. I think it's actually just Paul.
Oh, Paul.
Now that I look at it, I think good for us, Chris. Sorry, Paul. Sorry very much. But you know what is really cool too, and this our donors make possible. But so I see this email. I send it around. I sent it to you, but I sent it to Jimmy and Trent as well. And within hours.
Oh, within less than an hour, within 30 minutes, they had written back to this guy and said, "We'd love to be on your show."
Yeah, how can we help?
Yep,
and it
we'd
was
love to be on your
just
show.
beautiful. So, and you know, the Jimmy and Trent can't do that if there's not someone to support their work as worldwide apologists. And they really are. Those two guys are definitely worldwide. I would say, you know, you're nationwide.
Yeah,
You're getting
yeah.
worldwide. You're nationwide.
I'm still a baby. I'm still like a baby sea turtle
You're
trying to
bad.
make my way to
You're
the water.
nationwide.
I see
But-
Joe has stepped up his game. He's not wearing the plaid shirt. He put on a striped shirt for his
Because
in-studio
I teased
appearance
him
here.
mercilessly about his plaid shirt. It was mean. I apologize, Joe.
The plaid shirt chosen by the video department from the Target website.
They were teasing you. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. We can do all this stuff because you support us. And I'm going to be honest, too. Since the... I remember when they shut the world down for the COVID vaccine?
Vaguely.
You probably vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how the next year or 2 years was going to go. People have really supported us.
They've been very, very generous.
This is the first pledge drive since that we've struggled. I want people to know that we're very grateful for the generous support that kept us going and actually really just kept us fine throughout the whole COVID thing.
This is not a curve we want to flatten. We want it to continue to go up.
No, yes,
we do,
up
and we
is
need it
good.
to go up. I mean, my friends, if you watch the program on Facebook or YouTube or on Catholic.com, you can see that Catholic Answers has invested a fair amount of money in making sure that we have a visually attractive shot, because we know that we can have very talented apologists like Joe Heschmeyer and Jimmy Aiken on the program, but if the show isn't orally and visually engaging, right, then that evangelizing and apologetics work is not going to be as successful. So Catholic Answers invests that money because we know we're going to be able to reach more and retain more listeners by doing a first-class job, and that costs money.
Yeah.
It does. It costs money. It costs the the talent that you see in front of the screen here, but on the other side of the glass there, in the production room, and Darren on the other side of the glass there, lining up all the shows, and now increasingly in podcasts with Council of Trent, and
Joe's got a new podcast
Catholic
gonna
Answers
come out?
Focus. We have a new podcast coming out from Joe, and I know we're going to launch a new one from Carla Broussard later this year. So we're continuing to add to the work that Catholic Answers does. You mentioned School of Apologetics,
Yeah.
and I know video is going to be back in the studio in a couple of weeks, recording courses in the School of Apologetics. Like I said, the
I've got 2 coming up.
Yep.
One
Yeah.
on images of Mary in the Old Testament, one on the role of St. Peter.
And I really feel like it's so good that the video department, along with the School of Apologetics people, like they made a beautiful set. This is a beautiful presentation of the faith, because people need, like, beauty is part of people accepting the truth.
It is. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000, or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. My friends, we have this matching gift, and we have to meet it in order to get it.
Yeah.
That is the deal that we make with the donor. He says, I will put up the $20,000 for the hour, but you have to get to this amount before I fulfill. So
And-
we don't get it until we fulfill it.
Right, and we're struggling again this hour. We're only 1/3 of the way there. So I'll say this again while you're here. And by the way, if you ever want to check the books or anything, like I'd like to make a donation, and maybe you'd like to make a large donation to Catholic Answers. You can just call Chris. He'll take your call and he'll give you all the information. But what I'm thinking now is, Chris, we're again going to struggle mightily if we don't have folks. We had one gentleman yesterday who gave us $5,000. And we're very grateful for that. That got us into, better shape. But we're going to need some of those larger donations. That maybe there's some folks out there who could give $1,000, maybe $2,000, maybe even that $5,000 gift right now at 888-291-8000. You want to talk to the president about where the money goes? You can talk to him. Just ask for Chris Check. 888-291-8000.
It is absolutely true. I will take anyone's phone call, and I'm happy to discuss the finances of Catholic Answers, because every penny here is well looked after and it is efficiently spent. Cy, if I could just make an appeal here. We have some figure, and it hovers at around 13 or 12 or 15 or something like that, of listeners per tower who actually support Catholic Answers Live.
Right.
It's a very, very small number considering the large number of people who benefit from this program. So, my friends, if you are one of those folks who has been benefiting from this show, either for you just found us a week ago, or maybe you've been listening for several years and you've never actually picked up the phone to make a gift to us, I want you to know that no one, not all of us are going to be Tim Staples or Joe Heschmeyer or Jimmy Akin or Trent Horn or Carlo, but all of us have an obligation to evangelize. We all have an obligation to evangelize, and we can fulfill that obligation by supporting a program such as Catholic Answers Live, the #1 program in Catholic radio. So 888-291-8000. If you've never given before, please especially pick up the phone, 888-291-8000, and make a gift, because it will be doubled.
If you don't want to talk to us but still want to give us money, we totally understand. You can do that either through CatholicAnswersRadio.com, or if you prefer to text Catholic to 24365, that's 24365, you can avoid having to interact with us. We totally forgive you for that, and we're happy with it. Additionally, we were talking about kind of reaching people through the gospel. And I'm reminded here of Romans chapter 10. St. Paul talks about the need to call upon the Lord to be saved. And then he says very famously in verse 14, how are men to call upon him in whom they have not believed? And how are they to believe in him of whom they have not heard?
Right.
And how are they to hear without a preacher? And so it's that idea. Obviously, we're no replacement for priests. We're no replacement for even the lived experience of the church. But we have this unique ministry where people can hear the proclamation of the gospel, sometimes in a fresh new way, where maybe they heard a distorted version of Christianity growing up, and they're driving across the country, tuning into whatever they can find, stumble upon Catholic radio, and it transforms their lives.
And it's so gratifying.
It happens every day.
It's so gratifying to find out that Christianity actually makes sense.
Yes.
That
Right,
it's
that's
logical,
right.
that it makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
It's true.
Well, a lot of them have explicitly been taught by people who are anti-Christian that Christianity doesn't make sense.
Or that Catholics don't care about the Bible. And so in either of those cases, they suddenly find out, this actually kind of makes sense, and it seems to be biblical.
Okay.
888-291 888-291-8000.
$20,000 dollar for dollar match. We're about a third of the way there for this hour. That's a long way to go, but we can do it. 888-291-8000. I got to go back to the phones, Chris. Check.
Please be generous. Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, Diana in Florida, watching on Facebook. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Hi, Joe. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Thank you so awesome. Thank you for receiving my call. And I just have a quick question. I was discussing with a friend not long ago, and he always kind of tells me these things all year long. But right now, he was talking to me about the vaccine, and I know this is controversial, but just one thing that he cited was one of the passages in the Bible. And he said that I had to be aware of this because it's something that comes from like witchcraft, medicine, and all that. And he cited Revelations 9:6, and he says that something related to pharmaceuticals and all that, and that
Pharmakia.
the places in the Bible that has these meanings. Yeah, and
Yeah.
the history and the uses of drugs. That's what it means.
So
And
the-
now I want to kind of like debate that with him.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you
yeah.
need to know the meaning of that passage. Is that what you're looking for?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, what would be our meaning in Catholic? Because
Beautiful.
he's
Yeah.
not Catholic, so...
Yeah, no. It's a great question, and unfortunately, there's a very clear answer. I believe that you're talking about Revelation chapter 9, verse 21, where it talks about those who don't repent of their murders or their sorceries or their immoralities or their thefts. Now, sorcery there is literally the word pharmakon, which, among other things, is where we get the word pharmacy. But if you think about it this way, what's another name for a pharmacy? A drugstore. Well, drug has two meanings. Sometimes it means like medicine. Sometimes it means like an illicit drug, something that you're taking to harm yourself. And so the same thing is true in Greek. Pharmakia and pharmakon, we're dealing there with all of the things people would use drugs for. That includes legitimate medical reasons. That includes recreational drug use or whatever the equivalent was. That includes abortion and poisons and all sorts of things that were actually evil. What is not being condemned there is medicine. Why do we know that? Well, for one thing, St. Luke, we're told, is a doctor. So clearly medicine is not bad. It's not evil. The misuse, like if you say, I'm against people taking drugs, you don't mean people taking Tylenol. And in that case, in English, as here in Greek, you just got to know the context, that it's not some sort of anti-medical thing. If you go back to the history of the early church, plenty of early saints were doctors or were involved in medicine one way or the other. And so it's an unfortunate misunderstanding and a misuse of a single Greek word that's better translated in this context, something like sorcery, because they're trying to make potions, not legitimate medicine.
Thanks very much for the call. I got to take a quick break. We will be right back. We have 12 lines open, and we are right now just a few minutes from the top of the hour, and we are halfway to our hourly goal. Halfway. We got $10,000 to raise if we want to get all of that match. We need your help. Please call 888-291-8000.
Hang on. We'll be right back with more Catholic Answers Live.
Do you love sharing the gospel and want to learn to be more effective? Join the St. Paul Street Evangelization Online School of Evangelization. You will learn to build bridges of trust and make disciples by befriending strangers, proclaiming the gospel, inviting people to the church, and praying with others. We'll ask for a pledge of financial support, but if you are unable to give, we'll give you a membership at no cost. Find out more and get involved today at streetevangelization.com. That's streetevangelization.com.
Welcome back, Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. And I'm feeling, frankly, a little anxious about our fundraising efforts this time. We're about halfway through our fundraising. In just a few minutes, we'll be halfway through our fundraising. And not even close to halfway through our goals, like not even in the ballpark. So we do need some help. And so I'll leave it there, as I don't like to get anxious. I feel like there's a certain faithlessness in that. God has always provided for this apostolate. God will provide. And I'll be honest with you, you've always provided. When we've asked you to call and give and support this apostolate, you always have. As I've said before, it just takes $225,000 for us to run this whole operation that's responding to, lies about the church on the internet, that's responding to people who have marriage problems and don't know what to do, that's responding to television and all these, movies and radio. And wherever you hear morals or faith challenge, we're trying to respond, and we need your help right now. We really do need your help. 888-291-8000. Just remember, every dollar that you pledge this hour is matched dollar for dollar. So if you pledge $1, go ahead, pledge $1. We need the dollar. It'll be $2 to us. If you pledge $1,000, and maybe there are folks who can do that, $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 right now, and I will appeal again to you. We do need your help. All right, I'm just going to leave it there and go to the phones. If you'll pick up the phone and call 888-291-1000, or go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, we sure would be grateful. We go now to Paul in Nigeria. I couldn't pronounce Paul's name from Norway a minute ago, so I'm pretty sure I'm getting Paul right in Nigeria. Hang on, Paul. Let me get to the right phone line here. Paul, you there with us?
Yes.
Hello, Paul. What time is it there in Nigeria? In the middle of the night?
Yes.
I love that this is how you're spending your night.
Well, thanks for staying up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not that up, though, are you, Paul? It sounds like the middle of the night. Go ahead with your question for Jill.
Okay. I was asking about the other scriptures of the Bible, because the Bible consists of scriptures like Matthew and others. So I was asking about the other scriptures, like the book of Thomas and also the book of Judas. So I was asking about those. Can you explain them to me?
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. Can you explain them?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're dealing with, there are several different types of documents. The first, you have the inspired scriptures, the books that make it into the Bible. In addition to that, there are, of course, false gospels, things that are just, presenting something heretical. There are also these things, so the Gospel of Thomas would be a great example of this. He's trying to teach Gnostic theology, and it's not actually by Thomas, which leads to the third category, which are going to be what are in technical terms called pseudo-epigraphical, which just means not really by the person who claims to be the author. So if I write some sort of horrible book and entitle it, by Cy Kellett, regardless of the content of the book, I'm just lying about authorship. And so a lot of the early writings lie about authorship. The earliest Gospels, remarkably, don't even tell us who they're by, because everyone just knew Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John were the ones who wrote them. The later documents, the ones written in the 2nd century, but that are pretending to be from the 1st century, make a big show of how they're written by the apostles, and this is, hi, I'm St. Peter, and this is what I remember, that sort of thing. And so the church didn't fall for it. I mean, it was very clear these are fake, these are false gospels. And then the final category are books which are edifying and which are orthodox and which really are who they claim to be by, but which aren't inspired scripture. And so you think, for example, Pope Clement, in about 96, writes to the church in Corinth. His writings are not considered inspired scripture, just like, when Pope Francis writes a document today, it's not considered inspired scripture. Nevertheless, it's good and edifying. So it is part of, Christian literature. It's just not part of the canon of scripture. I hope that helps. That's an important distinction. In fact, even secular scholars like Bart Ehrman, who no friend of Christianity, will concede that the 4 Gospels that are in the Bible are the originals. They're the old ones. They're the ones from the apostolic age, from the time the apostles are alive, and that the other kind of claimants, those guys are coming in later, and they're just not who they say they are. They're not by the people whose names are on the cover page.
Paul, we're just limited in time today, or I would extend this conversation, but let me just give you 2 things. You can visit our website, Catholic.com, and if there's an ancient writing, like if you say the Proto-Evangelium of James, and you just type that in there will be lots of analysis of it, and it'll become clear to you in reading that. Is this one that's Christian, or is this kind of fake pseudo-Christian stuff? So give that a try. Also, I just want to invite you to call back anytime. We'd be happy to talk with you again. Anyway, I do appreciate that you stayed up till the middle of the night to call us. The number I want to give out right now, 888-291-8000. 8000 is where you can go to help us. 888-291-8000.
And can I just say something? I love that Paul called from Nigeria. It's such a great reminder of the international reach. We were talking about me being a national versus an international apologist. I think I just crossed that threshold.
Now you're international. That's right.
But no, in all seriousness, we often will even have like an international hour where we'll just take emailed calls, especially, if we're doing a pre-record.
International open forums, for example. Yeah.
Exactly. And it is such a good reminder. And I'm just thinking, if we were saying, hey, let's raise some money to go build a house somewhere in the world, it wouldn't be that hard to, get money to go on a mission trip abroad and thousands of dollars spent on a plane ticket, and then we build a house and come home. We do, I would argue, something more meaningful by presenting the truth, hopefully charitably, hopefully lovingly, hopefully clearly.
And accurately.
Around the world. I don't want to get it ambitious.
We do try to be accurate, Joe.
So I think given all of that, if you put it in that context, what are the things that we're spending money on? If the material needs of people are important and the spiritual needs are even more important, Jesus talks about preaching the good news to the poor, that what people need is not primarily a new house. Although that's great. I'm not knocking that at all.
Yeah.
It's to receive the saving gospel of Jesus Christ. And you can help with that at 888-291-8000 or at CatholicAnswersRadio.com or by texting the word Catholic to 24365.
888-291-8000. Just a few minutes left in this hour. We are well over halfway to our goal now because you did pick up the phone and call. I asked if there were some folks who could do that, one or two or maybe even five. We have seen it rarely, a $10,000 gift, because we're really far behind right now. And I just see that one person took us up on that offer, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say the name on the air yet. But maybe there's other folks out there who have that $1,000. He
was giving $100 a month, and it became $1,000 a month. The one person was donating currently at the $100 a month level and is now donating $1,000 a month.
Holy smokes! I didn't even see that one.
Unless that's a one-time gift.
No, I can say he was. It does say that, but and that's Brian. And that if it's on that list, we can say his name. Brian, God bless you, and thank you very, very much for the help. Gerard donated yesterday. He called back today for another donation. God bless you, Gerard. I think you can hear in our voices that we do need it. Don't forget. You know what? They asked me to remind you, and I'm the one that's not supposed to forget. We don't sell your information. I think that was the case at some point in the past with Catholic Answers, and has been with some charities, but we don't. So you're not going to get a bunch of spam from people who bought a list from us or something. We don't do that. So you can go online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com, make your pledge right now. We still have that match on, $20,000, dollar for dollar match. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you right now exactly how much we have. We have $3,100 left to use up. I think we could do it.
I think we can
thanks
too.
to a couple people that have come through here at the end, and actually a bunch of people here at the end. Some with a $25 a month, some with a $10 one-time donation. Gentleman we just saw went to $1,000 a month, and I'll see what else what other ones I can mention. But we do still need. I think we're going to need a few more that can do that $500, $1,000, $2,000, or $5,000 gift. If you can, you really would help us. We are. I'll tell you when we come back how far we are from the $225,000 goal, because I don't want to make you sad. And there's no reason to be sad. We're going to get there. We always do one way or another. Sometimes we have to do some things after the pledge drive, special begging and crying and that kind of thing. But
selling kidneys.
We have not done that yet, Jeff.
Not yet.
All right. Thanks so much for your support. I'm going to go back to the phones momentarily, but let me just tell you this. We're about to take a break, so it's a perfect time to call. We're actually about to just step out of this studio for a couple minutes, get a breath of fresh air, come back here, and really try to bring it home the second hour. We will get to more calls the second hour because we had Chris come in and we did a couple other things. So I apologize we didn't get to as many calls as we wanted.
Yeah, if the reason you aren't calling is because you're afraid you're going to miss some of the show, great time to call.
Perfect time to call. Or go safe and secure online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Let me reset a little bit before we have to go. There are 18 of our colleagues on the line. 9 of them are sitting and waiting right now. So Whether you're making a $1 pledge, a $10 pledge, or a $1,000 pledge, there's somebody there to take your call, and they want to talk to you. If you want to ask for prayers, we say the rosary every morning. We pray lauds and vespers, and when we can find a priest right now, we have mass. We'll do all of that and include your prayers there. Just if you just want to call and ask for prayers, that's fine too. If you'll, especially if you'll pray for us during this pledge drive. $20,000 dollar for dollar match. Still several $1,000s to use up in the next few minutes. We are going to take a very quick break. The number is 888-291-8000. We have not yet once filled up the lines during this pledge drive. Could we fill them up right now? 10 lines open at the moment. 888-291-8000, or go safe and secure online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. If you're a texter, you can text the word Catholic to 24365, because we're here 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Well, I'm not personally.
Yeah, none of us are actually.
That's
not literally true, but our website is available during those times.
But it's figuratively true because, the website, all the materials are. All right, 888-291-8000. Really in need of your help right now. 9 lines open. 888-291-8000. Let's use up that $20,000 dollar for dollar match. Right back after this. Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kelly, your host. We're going to be answering more questions this hour. I just didn't do a good enough job getting us to the questions for Joe last hour, so we'll do better this hour. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for staying with us. The number, if you have a question, is 888-318-7884. 888-318-7884. I'm going to say it one more time, and then I'm not saying it anymore this hour. You're going to have to write it down. And you can call, anybody can call, as you know. Well, you probably heard them last hour. You can call from anywhere. You can call with any question you want. And we do not ask your religious affiliation. Anybody at all has a question about Catholic faith, Christian people, you want to know about morals, you want to know about, if you want to talk about Jesus, we love talking about Jesus. 888-318-7884. Now, the reason I'm not going to give out that number anymore, Joe Heschmeyer is here as our guest this hour. He's the author of the new and very popular and very well-reviewed book, The Early Church Was the Catholic Church. And Joe will be answering the questions, but also Joe and I are here to ask you for your help and support. We are now 50% of the way through our winter pledge drive. Each pledge drive, we try to be funded for the next 3 months. And fully funded is $225,000. $225,000 does it. We are halfway through the pledge drive. And we are, by my calculations, Joe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, 1/4 of the way to being fully funded. So that's behind. You know, we're about half where we should be right now. So this has happened before. It's amazing. I mean, I've seen miraculous things. I've seen that made up in an hour. It just depends on, you know, is there something about the Spirit blows where it will? You know,
there is. It's in the Bible.
So we just leave all that up to the Spirit, and in whom we have placed all of our trust, and we come to you and ask you for your help right now. This hour. Oh well, did I even mention that we made the match? We're just right.
101 or 102%.
102% for last hour. So last hour was good. I mean, that was okay. We're a little bit more of a return to form. We got some ground to make up still, but we're coming to you asking you for your help this hour. Again, a $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match. It's been hard to meet those matches this time. Maybe it'll be easy this time. I do want to thank a couple folks because at the end, at the last hour, I said we're going to need some people to come with larger donations. And Kathleen from New Jersey came in with $5,000. Kathleen, you really helped us out because, as you can see, that was 1/4 of our fundraising the last hour. So thank you, Kathleen. Charlie in Indiana came in with $1,000. Nicholas in Kansas came in with $1,200. And then I'm not trying to ignore folks who came in for other amounts.
Well, especially when it's that close to the wire, all of those amounts.
All those came in so close. They really helped us out to get there because, we were 3/4 of the way there, but we weren't going to get there without that help. And so I just want to stress again, we do need some of those larger donations. So let me just start out with the giving levels, Joe, and then I'll let you take some calls. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right, $20,000 dollar-for-dollar match this hour. That means you give $100, it becomes $200. You give $200, it becomes $400. You give $1, it becomes $2. You give $1,000, it becomes $2,000. The number to call to make your pledge, 888-291-8000. Every single line available right now except for 2. There are 2 calls on right now, 888-291-8000. If you can make a monthly pledge of $10 or more, any person who can make a monthly pledge of $10 or more, you will become a member of our Society 315. You'll get the Society 315 t-shirt, you'll get the car magnet, and you'll get monthly updates, interactions, materials, lectures, all these kind of things that we have that we kind of get here. We'll have these incredible people come and visit and maybe do a little talk with them. And we just want to share it with people who are serious about apologetics. And so that's what Society 315 is. It's a sharing society. You start at $10 a month. So maybe
and the t-shirts are cool. I wanted to stress that.
They made them out of really good material too.
Yeah,
usually
they're really
t-shirts
soft,
are cheesy.
They're really comfortable.
Yeah, right.
I love my t-shirt.
888-291-8000. Please consider coming in right now, as a matter of fact, at a $10 a month level. Become a member of Society 315. By the way, in addition to that, everyone who gives becomes a subscriber to our magazine, the brand new revamped Catholic Answers magazine. So give it any amount, we'll send it to you for a year. So that really makes Society 315, I think, a very attractive proposition. If you can go to $20 a month or more, in addition to everything I just mentioned, we'll also add the Essential Catholic Survival Guide, 500 pages of answers to tough questions about the faith. It's all short articles. Maybe you got a question about money. Maybe you got a question about Mary. Maybe you got a question about myths. I'm open to the M section right now.
I thought money was really fitting. I thought it was going to be like fundraising related. Then I'm like, no, it's just going alphabetically through.
This is one that I would leave. See, I always say this because this was my mother and father's strategy. They would leave stuff on the coffee table. And then, for one of their 7 kids, you get bored and then all of a sudden you find out you're reading about, one of the saints and it changes your life. So that's at the $20 level. If you can come in at $45 a month or more, $45 a month or more, everything will be doubled because we have a doubling of the pledges this hour.
Another $20,000 hourly match?
The $20,000 hourly match. But in addition to what I just mentioned, we'll also give you on the 2 DVD set and the workbook for Trent Horn's CASA course. That's the Catholic Answers School of Apologetics course. Evidence for God. This might be one you want to give to the niece or the nephew, the grandkid, maybe the son or the daughter, because they're being battered with the really silly and unsupportable notion that there's no proof for the existence of God. There's no reason for you to believe in God. That's nonsense. There's tons of proof. There's plenty of reason. Someone might disagree with what we come to, but it's foolish to say there's no proof or no reason. And so we want to disabuse folks of that. So Evidence for God, the 2 DVD set, if you can come in at the $45 a month level. One more level I'll give, Joe, and then I'll let you answer calls. All right?
Okay.
888-291-8000 is the number. Please call. Only 3 have called this hour so far, and there are 16 of our colleagues on the line. Or you can go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. The last level, the top level that I will mention, $84 a month or $1,000 a year. And in addition to all of that, you become a member of our President's Club. There's all kinds of benefits you can read about on the website to become a President's Club member. But the coolest one, the easiest one to mention is you get everything we publish for a whole year for free. You just call up.
Everything.
And you say, hey, I heard Joe Heschmeyer has a new DVD out, and they're like, yep, boom, free. I heard Joe Heschmeyer has a new book. Yep, free. As a matter of fact, we love giving away free Joe Heschmeyer stuff because then he doesn't get paid for it. 888-291-8000 is the number, 888-291-8000. It is time for us to do our regular job. Joe, are you ready to do your regular job?
I sure am.
All right. Let's go to Mary in Louisiana, listening on Christ the King Radio, EWTN Radio. Mary, go ahead with your question for Joe. You okay, Mary?
I don't think that's Mary. I think that's Anthony in Denver. I think you're looking at the dropped calls.
Okay, so where do you want me to go? Tell me the line.
Line 1.
I was on line 1.
I don't think that's Mary. I think you're looking at dropped calls.
Oh, so I'm.
It might be Anthony in Denver.
Holy smokes! This is another display of professionalism here.
Yeah, if you pay more, we can help give some remedial hosting.
I have a lot of pages open to keep track of this pledge drive. Anthony in Denver. I'm going to go with anybody named Mary or Anthony. If you're on the line, start talking now.
Yeah, this is Anthony in Denver.
Hi, Anthony. Go ahead with your question.
How are you guys?
Good. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. My question's a philosophical one. The other day I was chatting with a Jesuit friend of mine who's doing philosophical studies, and we were talking about the body before and after the fall and the body before and after the resurrection. He was saying that the church and the church fathers use the word the same body for both of those situations, while still admitting that there's obvious differences prior to the fall and after the fall, and then once we have our resurrected bodies. So his contention was that it would be more apt to use the word similar instead of the same. And I was just curious if that's sort of
it's
just a language thing or what's going on.
No, that's a great question. And there's a reason the church says the same and not similar, because if we just had similar bodies to pre-fallen humans, then we wouldn't be the same species. We wouldn't be humans. Like if we just had, something human-like, we're not the same. This is, ironically, very parallel to another controversy in the history of the church, the famous homoousia controversy, whether Christ is like God or whether he is God. And like isn't good enough in either of these cases. That we have to say Adam and Eve are humans as we are humans, and they don't cease to be human after the fall. The corruption sets in for sure, but they don't lose their humanity. They don't lose their bodily humanity in that sense. Likewise, when we're talking about the resurrection, a much happier transformation happens, but it is there's still identity, meaning it is your body that is transformed and glorified. It's not we get rid of your body and give you a similar one. And this is an important thing. Think about two twins. Over the course of their life, those twins will grow and change in some radical ways. So, your Mary Kate or whoever is going to look very different as an adult than she does when she's like starring in Full House as a kid. But she'll look more similar to her twin than she probably looks to her younger self. She looks like her twin, but she isn't. She is the same person bodily that she was as a child, even though there's been a radical transformation throughout the course of her life. The same thing is true with resurrection, but in a more glorious way. St. Paul in 1 Corinthians 15 gives the example, comparing it to a seed that then flourishes into wheat or some other kind of grain, so that when we're laid in the tomb, we can think of it as planting our body, and it'll be raised and transformed in some radical, maybe even unrecognizable ways, just as, as an infant, you wouldn't recognize the adult that they would become, but it will still be your body all grown up, all transformed, all made into what your body was always intended to be.
Thanks very, very much. Appreciate the question, Anthony. Sorry that I called you Mary there at the beginning of the call. I feel like I should applaud Joe. I have never heard someone explain the resurrection using the Olsen twins as the metaphor. Congratulations,
Thank
Joe.
you very much.
Congratulations.
Well, Catholic Answers,
maybe
there's
just
a lot
go
of
lie
people,
down now.
it is a full
just
house.
go rest, because that was, I don't know, you must be drained that you've explained the resurrection using the Olsen twins. 888-291-8000 is the number to call. Let me just read some thank yous. Rose in New York says thank you to us, actually, for helping her answer the questions she receives from her friend who is seeking. This is a common theme, Rose. This is something that I think is actually one of the more helpful parts of the show. You got the spouse or the kid or the neighbor who they keep coming to you with Catholic questions, and you need some answers for them. And our website and or the radio show or whatnot, those are materials there to do that. So thank you for your pledge of support. Thank you for your donation, Rose, and thank you for your kind words. Jennifer in Nebraska recommends the show to her RCIA students, and they find it very helpful. Well, the people of Nebraska are particularly bright, Joe. That is
Spirit Catholic Radio.
Well-known Spirit Catholic Radio, right? She listens to Catholic radio on and off throughout the day, but Catholic Answers, and this is not a pun, Joe, so lay off it.
You know where I'm going with it.
Yes, because you're the worst punter. Catholic Answers, she says, is a staple. She never misses it. Thank you very much.
You know who's a staple we're missing? No, go ahead.
I said don't do it, and you just did it. 888-291-8000 is the number to give. I'm going to go back to the phones. We haven't been answering enough questions, and I'm going to rely on you to give. I'll just tell you what our deal is. We've got 5 folks on the line right now. We've got 18 of our colleagues waiting to take your call. Please call them up. Say hi. Say we mentioned them on the air. They are wonderful people, and they're just taking this time out to answer your calls and take your pledges. We really need your help. We are very far behind in our fundraising, but I say that with a little bit of cheerfulness in my voice, because always our policy here at Catholic Answers has been tell the donors the truth. Don't deceive them. Don't tell them you need more money than you need. No phony matching. It's got to be real matching. And if you're struggling, tell them you're struggling. Don't lie about it. So and then people always come through for us. So that's why I feel cheerful right now. I'm going to go back to the phones. Please pick up your phone and call 888-291-8000. Any pledge in any amount is matched dollar for dollar until we have used up that $20,000 match. Any pledge in any amount. So your $5 pledge is welcome. Your $5,000 pledge is welcome. 888-291-8000, or safe and secure online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Just say a number, Joe, because clearly I don't know how to run the phones today.
Why don't we try number 4?
Let's go to line number 4. I'm going to say that's Thomas in Oskaloosa, Kansas.
I believe it is.
All right, I did it. All right. Thomas in Oskaloosa, Kansas, listening on the Catholic Answers app, which is sweeping the world, paid for by our donors. Thomas, go ahead with your question for Joe.
Gosh, great job pronouncing the name, first of all, Oskaloosa.
I am really good at pronouncing things. Ask anybody who listens to this show with any regularity. I am super good at pronunciation.
I agree.
Thank you.
Not far from Mr. Heschmeyer.
No, you're within an hour.
Yes, sir. All righty. So First of all, I'd like to thank Erica. I called and donated. Wonderful to deal with.
Yeah,
Thank
wonderful.
you. Thank you.
Erica, she's been bringing us candy as well. So she's
really?
she's specially
She's better
beloved.
than you think, yeah. Director of events here at Catholic Answers.
Fantastic. So, to the question. So, over Christmas break, my sister was home, and I knew she was either agnostic or atheist. And she was, I guess I finally got the answer on it. She said, well, I believe in the spirit realm, but I am an atheist. And I guess my question is, how would you be able to level with her that, okay, these are both possible, still under a theistic worldview?
Oh, I mean, the Christian claim is that God is the maker of all things visible and invisible. When we're talking about invisible things, we're including in that the idea of the spirit realm. I actually think the bigger question is how an atheist explains spiritual beings. You know, how do you get angels or demons or immaterial souls on a purely atheistic level? You can't say, oh, they evolved. You know, this spiritual thing evolved from some more basic matter, because the whole nature of spiritual things is that they're immaterial. So you really don't get a spirit realm without God. You need, God is pure spirit. He creates the entire spiritual world and the entire material world. And so the fact that she's ready to acknowledge the invisible world, the world of spiritual realities, should hopefully open her up to the fact that you can't explain the existence of that world without an immaterial God who can create it.
And you're satisfied with that answer to Thomas? Because you got to go back to Texas.
I don't know.
Kansas. You good, Thomas?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want him coming back to Kansas and finding an unsatisfied caller. So I just
I'd be happy if, Thomas, if you're not satisfied, we can grab coffee after I get back home.
I'm guessing you're paying, Thomas. I'm just guessing.
He just did. He donated to
that's
Catholic
right.
Answers.
That's right, he did. Thomas, thank you very much for the kind words. Thank you for the call. We are coming up on we're past the halfway mark. We're coming up on the 2/3 mark done with our pledge drive. It's been a bit of a tough one. I'm sure that it has related to the economy and all that, but also it's winter. I don't know. I'm trying to think of excuse. Is it me?
Well, maybe people are intimidated. Now that they hear that Erica is great, maybe they're going to call 888-291-8000. If you don't want to talk to us, you can text Catholic 24365. Or you can go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com.
Or you might get win the lottery and talk to the nicest person in the world. That would be Imelda from accounting, and you'll know it's Imelda because she's the only one of us from India. So if you're talking to someone with an Indian accent, freak her out a little bit and go, "Is this Imelda?" And then and then she'll come and slap me after the show. 888-318-7884 is the number to call if you have a question, and we do have a few lines open there. So I did want to give that number out again. It wasn't an accident, a mistake. I don't really make mistakes like that. 888-318-7884.
I bet a lot of people are getting strange calls this hour, wondering why people are calling in trying to find us.
We are struggling for calls right now. I'm going to go back to the callers and let Joe do his thing and leave it in your hands. Could you call and make a pledge in any amount this hour? We are a long way from where we need to be. We need your help. Catholic Answers depends on your donation. That's how we do this. We have never, been one of those, we got so much money in the bank, we just roll with it. I do actually think in recent years, we at least have people who are managing the money better. So, I'm sure we're doing better than we were a few years ago. But we're one of those apostolates that we live in many ways hand to mouth. We'll shut down if we don't get the pledge. Oh, that sounded so awful, like a threat or something.
If you don't give us your money.
If you don't right now. But I'm just trying to tell you where we are. So I'll stop talking. 888-291-8000, $20,000 for dollar match this hour. If we use it up, I think we're getting much closer to being back on track. We are off track right now. We'll get closer to being on track.
We're about 15% of the way towards the match, I think, and about a third of the way through the hour.
This is the best hour we've had then. 8,000. It is. That's the best hour we've had.
Okay.
They've been tough hours, Joe.
They have been
You looked
tough
at me
hours.
like I'm crazy. But
I was just trying to do the math.
I'm going to go to line 2, Devontae. Our old friend Devontae in Odessa, Texas, listening on the Catholic Answers app. Sure, Devontae, you download the Catholic Answers app, you call us, but you're still not Catholic, are you, Devontae?
I disagree with you guys on too many core things. But if Joe and Trent Horn want to run down here to Odessa, by all means.
Careful, they might.
Yeah, Trent's not that far.
Well, I'll tell you what, when we're in Texas,
Texas is gonna
I know that we're going to do a tour of Texas radio stations at some point with the wonderful people at Guadalupe Catholic Radio. If we get in that neighborhood, we're definitely looking you up, and we'll pay for the coffee. You don't have to pay for it. It would be just great to meet you face to face.
Agreed.
By all means. So recently, I was reading an article on Joe's website where he was talking about baptism being necessary for salvation.
Mm-hmm.
And my question is, and you correct me if I say this word wrongly, or even explain it so we have the same concept in mind and I don't misunderstand.
Okay.
With the Catholic understanding of baptism being ex opere operato, what role does the faith of the person play in baptism?
Yeah.
Because I know we would both agree, just because they're in the water does not mean they were regenerated.
This is a really good question, Devontae. You always have good questions, by the way. Paragraph 1253 of the Catechism actually tackles this one directly, because it points out that baptism is the sacrament of faith. What that means is the ordinary way that we receive the gifts of faith, hope, and love is through baptism. They're what are called theological virtues. We can't produce them on our own. They're gifts from God, and they're given in the waters of rebirth. Baptism, that's what it is to be born again of water and the Spirit, the laver of regeneration, as St. Paul says. And why St. Peter can say in 1 Peter 3:21 that baptism now saves you, because it's in baptism that you receive faith, hope, and love. And those are the things that you need to be saved. So the ordinary means of salvation is through the waters of baptism. So one of the corollaries of that is that you can't say someone has to have a fully formed faith before they can be baptized, because where are they getting the faith from? Ordinarily, it's through baptism itself. It would be like, requiring a high school diploma to let someone into high school. Doesn't make sense. So paragraph 1253 says that it is only within the faith of the church that each of the faithful can believe. The faith required for baptism is not a perfect and mature faith, but a beginning that is called to develop, which is why in the actual rite of baptism, the catechumen, or if it's an infant, the godparent, will be asked, what do you ask of God's church? And the answer is faith. Now, most people say baptism, but the rite actually, you're supposed to say faith. Like you're asking for the gift of faith from God, and God gives it to you. So that's the relationship. Like you have to have enough faith that you're freely going through the baptism. And in the case of an infant, the godparents can stand in for you. You're not resisting it. Someone's not forcibly baptizing you against your will. And you're receiving this gratuitous gift of faith that you cannot give yourself. You've got just enough to go forward and receive it, to ask for it, and God will pour it out upon you.
Devontae, I got to say thank you, because as you've heard, we are in the midst of our pledge drive, and thank you for all the calls. We love talking with Devontae in Odessa, Texas, and now we're going to have to get down there because we said we were. We are coming up on the halfway mark of this hour. We're probably past 15% so far, but where are we now?
I'm showing 23%.
23%. So we want to be, what percent do we want to be by the top of the hour?
100%.
100%. Okay, so that means
maybe even more than that.
So we're 73% off right now.
70. I see.
We got to raise 73%. I don't know. I'm impressing myself right now. But hey, it's
77%.
70. Oh, yeah.
So 23 plus 77.
Yeah, I'm not so impressed with myself now. 888-291-8000 is the number to call and make your pledge. 888-291-8000. All we do is we answer questions about the Catholic faith. It seems like it wouldn't work. It seems like it's so simple. Why would that work? What's the hook? What's the draw? But for more than 20 years now, Catholic Answers Live has just come on the air and answered any question anybody's got about the Catholic faith. It has grown. We're on almost 400 radio stations in the United States. We're on around the world. As you hear, we get calls and letters and everything from around the world. We even go and do in-person evangelization around the world. And we need your help to continue to grow and continue to do what we're doing. Right now, we have a $20,000 dollar for dollar match. We are far from using up that match this hour. We need to raise $225,000 to be fully funded for the next 3 months. And again, I just want to stress this because I really believe it with my heart. I see it every day. I don't think there is another media company in the world that could do what we do for $225,000 every 3 months. I don't think they could reach the number of people that we reach, produce the quality of media that we produce. And I know they don't have a better message. I'll tell you right now, they don't have a better message. Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God, has come to save this world and to save each of us personally. It's a message of hope and of joy. And when we overcome obstacles, people believe it, accept it, and flourish as human beings because they did so. That's what we want, that every person will become a son or a daughter of the living God. We need your help right now to keep doing what we're doing. There's 19 phone lines available, only 2 of them used right now. 888-291-8000. Please, as we go to the bottom of the hour break, make your pledge now. We're struggling. 888-291-8000.
Catholic Answers Live would like to take this opportunity to thank our partners in airing our daily program. Please support the stations and networks that carry us each day, ensuring that we have a platform for broadcasting the show. And please bear in mind that while we don't have to pay for airtime on our affiliate stations, neither do they contribute to the operating costs we incur. It's a great relationship, but it requires that we turn to you, our devoted listeners, for your prayers and financial support to cover our ever-growing expenses. Please call 888-291-8000 right now and help to keep Catholic Answers Live strong. That's 888-291-8000. Or you can donate securely online at CatholicAnswersRadio.com. What began as a humble 1-hour daily show that was carried by 4 stations has, with the generosity of many fantastic people like you, blossomed into a 2-hour broadcast heard on hundreds of AM and FM stations, the internet, Sirius XM radio, Facebook, YouTube, and via podcast. We don't make that possible. You do. We simply cannot continue this media mission without your most generous gift today. Call 888-291-8000 or log on to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and donate now. People tell us all the time how much they depend on Catholic Answers Live to help them better learn, live, and share their faith. What they're really saying is they depend on you for that. Will you come through for them right now? It only takes a couple of minutes to make a huge difference at 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Again, 888-291-8000 or CatholicAnswersRadio.com. No matter how much you give, be assured of our gratitude and know that God will richly bless you. Phone 888-291-8000 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It's important that you take this important step right now, today, to make sure that Catholic Answers Live is here tomorrow and for years to come. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Welcome back to Catholic Answers Live. I'm Cy Kellett, your host. Joe Heschmeyer is our guest. Joe has a beautiful new book out called The Early Church is the Catholic Church. And I know I sound like I'm teasing when I say it to Joe, but we really are getting lots of wonderful reviews on that book and lots of people picking it up. It's doing real well because it's a really fine book. And it's one of those things where I think a lot of people think, oh, who can really tell the early history of the Catholic Church? Well, you can. There's letters, there's documents, and there are lots and lots of secular historians or religious historians or of all stripes who will say, yeah, those letters of Ignatius, those ones right there, those are authentic first century or second century letters. And so there's a lot of history of the early church. It's one of a kind of an effort that we've made here in recent years to do books that are quite basic in their apologetic. Trent wrote Why We're Catholic. Jimmy wrote, so that's about the Catholic faith, a basic introduction to the Catholic faith. Jimmy wrote The Bible is a Catholic Book, a wonderful introduction to the Bible. I wrote Teacher of Strange Things about Jesus. We needed an introduction, just a basic introduction to Jesus. And now Joe wrote The Early Church Was the Catholic Church. Again, a basic apologetic, a basic description and of the conditions of the church, what the church is. That's what we do. We share the faith, and we try to do it every way we can. And if some controversy comes up, we try to engage with the controversy on our podcast or even on this show. What we want is for people to come to see the faith is reasonable, first of all. And then once you begin to have that inkling, wait a second, that Catholic faith is reasonable. It seems like God would behave that way. Come to Jesus, come to the fullness of faith. We want to open hearts so that people can do that. Can you please support us right now? We are struggling to meet our $20,000 match this hour, 888-291-8000. If you would, 888-291-8000.
I was just going to say a couple things. Number one, I know Kelly in San Antonio has a question about the early church, and I would love to get to her call. Just please call to donate. If, again, you already got the number, 888-291-8000. You can also go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com or text Catholic to 24365. And, I think it really is a good reminder that, there's some parts of Catholicism that I think any well-formed Catholic should be able to answer. And then there are other parts of Catholicism that they're more specific. And so people who've studied it, people who have degrees in it, people who maybe their full-time job is as an apologist, I think there's a role for that because you shouldn't be expected to know anything and everything. So hopefully us here at Catholic Answers, or we here at Catholic Answers, I couldn't figure out which way that should be grammatically in my head.
We here at Catholic Answers.
We here at Catholic Answers can serve that kind of supplemental role to help you on those kind of questions. So with that in mind, if we could, let's go to Kelly in San Antonio.
Let me give the number out again, 888-291-8000. You can go safe and secure online, CatholicAnswersRadio.com. I hope we're not crossing the line into being a pain in the neck, but if you are in a position to make a large donation of $1,000 or $2,000, we could really use those now to help us to get where we need to be, maybe even more. Maybe you could do $5,000 as one woman did earlier from Kansas, and we're very grateful for that. All right, let's go to Kelly. Kelly is on, let's see, line one. Kelly, go ahead with your question for Joe.
Hi, thank you guys for what y'all are doing. Prayers for your drive.
Thank you.
My question is, how does the early church keep a coherent message, especially, with the rate of travel of news? Now with social media, there's all kinds of crazy, rumors floating around, and it can be difficult to really know where the truth is and where somebody might be speaking kind of a, truth wrapped in a lie kind of thing. How do we keep that coherent message?
Oh, that's great. That's a great question. So I want to make sure I get it. You're saying, back before the internet, back before any of those things, you can't really fact check. If someone comes along to your town and says, oh, this is what Jesus taught, it is a little trickier to know if they're telling the truth or not. But fortunately, you have still a small enough world, so to speak, that people are riding from town to town, and you have these other kind of checks against that. And one of the best checks is apostolic tradition. And so we see this really clearly with St. Irenaeus and his fight against the Gnostics in about 180. Irenaeus is a student of St. Polycarp, who you heard in the last hour is Sai's favorite church father. Polycarp lived from 69 to 155. He was a student of the Apostle John. So Polycarp knew Christianity up close. He knew apostolic Christianity because he got it from an apostle. Irenaeus also got Christianity from an apostle. And so he's battling against Gnostics who were saying Jesus had one set of public teaching and one set of private secret teaching just for his special followers. And Irenaeus' point is that's ridiculous. If he did have that kind of teaching, you know who would know about it? The Pope. Because who would the apostles want to make sure knew about this special secret teaching? Well, it would be the most important bishops, including, of course, the Bishop of Rome, who Irenaeus points out almost as an aside, everyone has to agree with. It's this very early endorsement of papal infallibility or papal primacy or papal supremacy of some kind. And in light of that, he says, well, notice the popes and the bishops have never heard of Gnosticism. They say it's not what Jesus taught. They're the people who are in a position to know. So you can hopefully see there the way that tradition and apostolic succession are a check against people just making up rumors. Because if you can say, no, this isn't what we received before you, you've come along and taught some new message, that's a big red flag, it's not true. Actually, in my book, which I'll see if we can get you a copy of, the early church is very theologically conservative, meaning they're on the lookout for anything that smells too new and they reject teachings if they can trace where they came from, and it wasn't Jesus or the apostles. So for all those reasons, there's no question that they wouldn't be Lutheran because they could trace it back to Luther. There's no question they wouldn't be Calvinist because they could trace it back to Calvin. They're going with, well, what did Jesus and the apostles teach, and what's been the unbroken teaching of the church down through the years?
And we're going to leave it there. Thank you very, very much for the call and for the question. It's open forum. Anybody can ask anything they want of Joe Heschmeyer, our guest. Joe's an apologist here at Catholic Answers, which I'm super happy to get. It still makes me happy to get to say that. Started here in March, but he was world famous before he came to us, and we're just so happy that he's here. It's another thing that we're trying to do is grow not just in the number of media outlets we're on or programs that we're doing, but grow in the number and quality of our apologists. I say quality not because we were low quality before, but we want to maintain that high standard that Catholic Answers has always had, that people who have no particular agenda other than to share the love of Jesus and his church and to speak directly and honestly about it. You've made that possible. Please give us a call. Help us use up this match, 888-291-8000.
Speaking of maintaining the high level of quality, I'd just point out that we always have attrition. You have donors who they stop giving because maybe they have financial hardship, or they pass away, or they move out of the area that's served by the various radio stations carrying Catholic Answers, or for one reason or another, their giving priorities change. And so we constantly need new donors stepping up and stepping in and kind of passing the torch on to make sure that the next generation, the next year even, has Catholic radio as well. So if that is striking you, if that is where you are at, if that's what God is placing on your heart, I would really encourage you to call us at 888-291-8000, or to text Catholic to 24365, or to go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com and help out in whatever way you feel called to do.
888-291-8000, trying to make sure we're doing our day job while we're doing this pledge drive. We have 21 of our callers. That means pretty much everybody in the building has said, I'm just going to sit down and take calls for this last 20 minutes because they know we're $10,000 away from a $20,000 match. We've got $10,000 to raise in the next few minutes, or we're going to not meet our match. So I think they all sat down and they're ready. 21 of them ready to take your calls. 4 of them are engaged on the line. 17 lines open. 17 lines open. Perfect time to call. If you want to make a $5 pledge, you want to make a $50 pledge, you want to make a $10 pledge, you want to make a $100 pledge, whatever it is, you want to make that recurring pledge, that $10, that $20, that $45 a month. Get the gifts that come with making those recurring pledges, but pick up the phone and call because there's lots of folks on the line to take your call right now. 888-291-8000, 888-291-8000. I'm going to go to Rob on YouTube now. Rob, thank you very much for your call. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Yeah, I wanted to, first of all, say I'm in a conundrum, so I'm going to call the donation line after and see what they can do to help me be a supporter of yours. But anyway.
God bless you. Thank you, Rob.
Yeah, that's wonderful. We won't make you give out your financials over the air right now.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just like I said, just prayers that this will actually work. But anyway, I need to put a hypothetical. It's not necessarily hypothetical, but I'm going to use it as such before you guys. I use a racial or derogatory comment at somebody, or just everything along the lines. Now, forget treating them any differently, violence, anything else. I just use a derogatory term like.
Well, you don't have to.
Sorry, Rob, but I'm sure that what you were going to say was fine, but we just can't take any chances.
We can think of some.
We can all think of racial epithets or derogatory terms. So say.
No. So it wasn't going to be. It wasn't going to be racial.
No, I'm sure that, Rob. I'm sure of that. But sorry, we both reacted. We overreacted. But so you use a derogatory term. You don't use violence. So what's the question?
Well, no, yeah, but that's what I was going to say. I wasn't going somewhere. That was part of the question.
Oh, I see.
I use, like I said, for example, I use a derogatory statement at somebody individual, but I include, their entire race or their religion or their whatever.
Right.
So I'm actually using the term, but I'm not, I'm just talking the term, nothing else. Is that a sin against charity? And if it is not, what is it a sin against? And if I may throw this third one in, where in the Bible can I find backing for this? So when I do have this conversation with somebody, I can point to them and say, look, it says it right there in the Bible.
I'm going to go to send you to the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 5 of Matthew's Gospel. Is that where you are?
That was exactly where I was going to go.
Okay, because Jesus is pretty explicit about this, but I don't think I fully understand the question. Like, you're not just saying that someone's using a word in an academic setting, like, oh, the Nazis used to call the Jews this, but they're not saying it themselves. You're saying someone's using this and directing it towards someone.
Yes, somebody actually has ill intent in their heart. Yes. But they're not doing anything else. I'm not talking about anything else but the act of using a derogatory or racial or whatever word towards
Jesus addresses this quite clearly.
Yes, he does. Matthew chapter 5, verse 22. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother shall be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother shall be liable to the council, and whoever says, you fool, and the word there can also be translated like blockhead and things, shall be liable to the hell of fire. So it really is that stop treating people in this way. And he's not making these are words no one's allowed to use or say. What he's talking about is a way of treating people and a way of speaking of people. And so you asked about it being a sin against charity, and it is certainly that. I would argue it's also a sin against justice, because it doesn't do justice to the Imago Dei. It doesn't treat every individual as an individual, but just as like one more representative of their group, whatever that group is. And for that, I would point you to, partly it's logical, but partly it's also expressed in the Catechism in paragraph 1935, which says that the equality of men rests essentially on their dignity as persons and the rights that flow from it. In other words, the whole Christian notion is that from Adam, all men are created equal. And we're all fallen, we're all in need of redemption, but we all have this dignity by being made in the image and likeness of God. When you start treating one group of people for some superficial reason as less made in the image of God, or less worthy of dignity, or even just as less as individuals, there's an actual injustice there because you're not rendering to each one according to their due. Think about it. The virtue of justice is to give people what they're owed. This person is owed the fact that they're an individual made in the image and likeness of God, because that's the true worth of their value, and we're giving them something less than that. So for all of those reasons, I would say that racial slurs and derogatory terms of that kind being used in kind of a negative manner towards people, that's going to be a sin against charity and a sin against justice as well.
I just want to give a citation if you want. Our own Father Hugh did a podcast with us where we talked about I think the exact question we put to him was, what would Jesus say about racism, or what does Jesus say about racism? I can't exactly remember how we put it to him. It was about a year and a half ago. You can find it on YouTube, or go to our CatholicAnswersFocus.com page and just search racism. And he gave a more extended answer that it's essentially what Joe just gave. But his basic answer was it had to do with racism in particular, and you weren't asking just about racism, but it has to do with the sins against justice and then sins against charity. But you can't forget, though, that it's first and foremost a sin against justice. You call someone a nasty name, you're not their judge. God didn't make you their judge. You have no just right or reason to do that, and Jesus forbids it. Joe, we're still in the midst of our pledge drive. Where are we as far as...
I think we've not even made it halfway for meeting this hour's goal. We have like $8,700. What I've seen so far is we've got $8,700 down. Maybe that still needs to be updated, but I think we're under halfway there, and we're 3/4 of the way through the hour. So this would be a great time to open your hearts and your wallets and call 888-291-8000, or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. or text Catholic to 24365.
Another person donated for a second time. Marianne from right here in California called yesterday, and then today called and donated another $300. God bless you, Marianne. Thank you very much for that call. And then they put these notes on here, like people I'm supposed to thank. They just wrote, Irene is going to send a $250 check.
It's also all in caps. It seems vaguely menacing.
It's like, what am I supposed to threaten Irene? She promised a check. Say it on the air. So she has Irene, we're very, very grateful. John from Cibolo, Texas, increase. He became a member of our Founders Circle by increasing his annual pledge to $5,000 a year. John, God bless you. Thank you for that. If you want to know about Founders Circle, it's the highest level giving club that we have here. It comes with all kinds of benefits. You can just go to ourcatholic.com and type in Founders Circle, and you'll find out all about it. I hope that we will get. To be honest with you, I'd like to see 3 or 4 more people join Founders Circle or our President's Club, which is at $1,000 a year right now, because we are coming up to the top of the hour. We are going to go back to the phones and answer some calls shortly. We have 20 of our colleagues on the line ready to take your call, and 5 calls on right now. 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. If it's sounding like maybe we're feeling a little bit of pressure at the moment, I'm going to be honest with you, I'm feeling a little bit of pressure at the moment. We got a ways to go, and the hours are dwindling. We'll just be here with 2 hours tomorrow. We'll ask you for your help again while Jimmy Akin answers questions, and then we won't bug you for 3 months. We really won't bug you again for 3 months. So we've got to do all of our fundraising in the next 2 hours and 14 minutes. 888-291-8000. Let's fill up those lines. 11 lines are open right now. 8 are on. Could we get 11 folks to just call right now and make a pledge of any amount? It'll all be matched dollar for dollar. 888-291-8000. I'm going to read a note here, and David's here. You can tell me if I get this wrong, but Charles from Texas just called. And he said he heard we were 10,000 short of meeting our match this hour. And he's going to call his broker tomorrow to donate $10,000 worth of stock to us. So Charles, that is enormous. That really, really helps us out. I have no idea whether it sounds like, I don't know if I'm supposed to count that against the match for the other donor.
Is Jimmy going to get credit for this tomorrow? That's what I want to know.
I think Jimmy gets credit for it tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, we get credit for today. Dave's pointing to.
All right. Thank you, Charles.
2 down, which I think means today.
Thank you. The number is 888-291-8000. 888-291-8000. Okay. Let me just tell you, Charles, I'm very, very grateful for that. On Tuesdays, I pay for my hamburgers. It doesn't sound a little bit like that? Tomorrow, I'm going to sell.
I recognize that because we used to have a Wimpy's near us. So that's an obscure reference to a
I really don't.
movie.
I mean, David said that goes against the match, but I am going to be honest with you. I do not think it does. And so we have to be fair to our donors. They give us money and they say, if you bring this money in an hour, you get the 20,000. So it may be. I just don't want to promise that because I don't know that, and so we'll just play it by ear here. But we'll just continue to let.
Either way, we should all continue to give.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you where we are.
There's 6 open lines, 5 open lines now. And let's bring that down to 0 open lines. 888-291-8000.
In about 5 minutes, we're 2/3 of the way through our pledge drive. We just passed 1/3 of the amount of money we need to raise. We need to raise $225,000, and I'm including Dan's $10,000 in this. So if your number's looking different, it's because in my brain I just added Dan's $10,000. And God bless you. Oh, Charles. I'm sorry. Why did I say Dan? Okay.
10,000 doesn't even get you the proper first name.
I know. What do you got to do to get called by the right name around here?
I will remember your name.
Charles. Oh my gosh. Please don't be offended, Charles. This is like the 8,000th mistake I've made today. I apologize from the heart. But you put us over the 1/3 mark, and God bless you and thank you for that. But we need some help. Could you pick up that phone and call 888-291-8000? I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I do know this. This just occurred to me. The donor who gave us the money yesterday said you can use that, because we came up 5,000 short yesterday, said you can use that 5,000 if you need it. Like, I'll let you take another shot at it. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to make an audible right now, and we'll check this with our donors. I'm going to count Dan's 10,000 so we met our match for this hour, but we still got 5,000 from that other donor. Do you see what I'm saying?
I do.
I feel like I did that right, and I feel like that's fair to the donors, but I'll make sure it is. But a guy yesterday said, I'll give you $20,000 if you can raise it in the first hour. We only raised 15,000 in the first hour, actually a little under 15,000. So, and then he said, all right, tomorrow I'll give you another shot at it. We weren't even going to try it because we've been struggling so much, but let's try it. Let's see if we can do it. $5,000 in the next 10 minutes. $5,000 in the next 10 minutes. We'll get the match from, and I know that donor will give it to us. He was very explicit. 888-291-8000. I think, Joe, I'm going to let you do at least one more call.
Please.
All right? 888-291-8000. Oh, it's getting exciting up in here now. Can you please help us? 888-291-8000, or go safe and secure online to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. I am going to go to Charles. I'm going to say Charles from now on. I feel bad about that. I'm going to go to Madeline in Belmont, California, listening on the Catholic Answers app. Madeline, thank you for downloading the app onto your phone. Go ahead with your question for Joe.
Thank you for taking my call. Love you guys.
Oh.
I love your book. I bought a case of it, and we give it out to friends and to relatives who could use it. My question, Joe, is, may the sacrament of the anointing of the sick be given to an adult who's non-Catholic?
Yes, if they seek it out, if they request it. And this is all very explicitly spelled out in Canon 844 of the Code of Canon Law. First of all, thank you very much for your question. Thank you for waiting. I know that we did not get to you very quickly.
Thank you for telling Cy how much you like
Yeah,
his book.
thank you for buying a case of Cy's book
Yes!
and giving them to people. He is over here jumping off the walls. He also has been eating candy and Fritos all afternoon.
That Kenny Fritos doesn't amount to somebody saying they liked your book. That's
and
way
bought
better.
a case of them.
Yeah.
Yes. So ordinarily, Catholics, Canon 844, Section 1 says, typically, Catholic ministers only administer the sacraments to Catholic members of the Christian faith alone, meaning Catholic ministers, Catholic recipients. If you've got a Protestant giving Catholic sacraments or a Catholic giving Protestant sacraments or, whatever, that's usually not okay. But there are exceptions. And those exceptions are laid out in sections 2, 3, and 4 of Canon 844, and it looks specifically at anointing of the sick. So in the danger of death, or in the judgment of the diocesan bishop or conference of bishops, some other grave necessity urges it, Catholic ministers administer these same sacraments. Now, the sacraments in question there include penance, Eucharist, and anointing of the sick, licitly, meaning lawfully, to other Christians not having full communion with the Catholic Church. They looked at Orthodox in Section 3, the Protestants in Section 4, who cannot approach and minister their own community, and who seek such of their own accord, provided that they manifest Catholic faith and respect these sacraments and are properly disposed. So let me unpack that. If you're a Protestant who is sick and in danger of death, and you want to receive, the anointing of the sick, number one, you have to seek it out. You have to ask for it. We can't just assume. Number two, you have to believe what we believe about the anointing of the sick. And number three, you have to be properly disposed in the case of anointing of the sick. You can also receive penance in that situation. Like if you believe that what we say about penance is true, and you're sick and dying, and you want to receive penance and anointing of the sick, and even receive Jesus in the Eucharist, good news, you can do that as long as you seek it out and you believe what we believe, and we're totally lawfully able to bring you Jesus under those forms.
Madeline, thanks so much. Thanks for your kind words. And that says you got a case of my book. If you would, just send me a note at radio@catholic.com, and I'll send you a free copy of Joe's book, because it's a beautiful book. The early church was the Catholic Church. And since you were so generous to buy all those copies of my book, I'd like to send you a copy of Joe's. Look, we're coming into the last few minutes. I said we had that $5,000 match that I didn't think we were going to even get to use because we were struggling so much. But we do have it. And it's down to $3,000 now. We got to raise $3,000 in the next 6 minutes. We can do that, Joe.
I believe it.
Then we'll have used up all of our matches today. That will be a fantastic outcome. 888-291-8000. Hey, if you're the person who's thinking, nah, my pledge is too small, no. We next 3 minutes, we got tons of people on the line. We're ready to take your call. A couple folks just the reason we're down to 3,000 is right after we said it. Two folks, Karen and Robert. Karen from Wisconsin, Robert from Pennsylvania, each gave $1,000. We're very, very grateful. Can you help us out? 888-291-8000. If you've been thinking about it, maybe now's a good time to do it. We got $3,000 to use up by the top of the hour. 888-291-8000.
You can also text Catholic to 24365 or go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. Let's maybe go to Kavan in Georgia.
We're gonna wait till tomorrow to go to tomorrow.
Oh,
Look
I'm
at the
sorry.
clock.
Oh, yeah, I didn't.
Sorry, tomorrow.
This is why at the end of the day you still get to keep your job. I'm worse at it than you are.
A whole bunch of lines open. A whole bunch of lines open. Give us a call, 888-291-8000. They'll stay there until there's no more calls.
Yeah, right now there are 17 people from Catholic Answers waiting to take your calls. Only 9 of them are currently taking calls, so you can do the math. There's 7 people now who are sitting by the phones waiting to hear from you. And this really is like once the calls all go dead, we're going to close up for the night. So this is your last chance today to call and donate to 888-291-8000.
3,000 to go. 5 minutes till the top of the hour. 888-291-8000 is the number. Hey, if you're listening to this later, maybe you're getting up in the morning and you listen to it while you're having your cereal in Australia or in the Philippines or
Nigeria,
Shanghai, wherever you are, you can always go to CatholicAnswersRadio.com. It all counts. It all goes to the same place. CatholicAnswersRadio.com, safe and secure online. And if you're in the U.S. or can reach the U.S. right now, please call. Make them all work for their money around here. 888-291-8000. A few $1,000s left, and we're in good shape for today. 888-291-8000.